I'm very happy to speak about marriage in Krishna Consciousness because it's extremely important for nearly all the members of the Krishna Consciousness movement to be established in a sustainable, peaceful, spiritually based marriage. And there's unfortunately a lack of training for many devotees before they make this big step in their lives. You know, grihastas are called adhikaris. Adhikari, one who can perform, which means that one has the capacity to maintain an ashram, to maintain spiritual life, meet all the ordinary responsibilities of life while keeping their spiritual life on a progressive track. In Toronto, Srila Prabhupada was asked, is it a fall down if a brahmachari gets married? And Prabhupada said, what is the question of fall down? Brahmachari is already the lowest position. In the early days of this movement, it was understood that when somebody had achieved a platform of steadiness, then they were eligible to get married. And when someone was married, it was a sign of their advancement. Within a few years, the tables turned, and it was seen that anyone who could remain renounced was advanced, and anyone who got married was fallen. And unfortunately, some of those misconceptions linger, that married life is a concession for those who can't really be Krishna conscious fully. This is very unrealistic because nearly all men and women get married at some point in their lives. And the ones who don't are either very mature spiritually and are able to be loving and accepting of everyone, as a sannyasi is supposed to be, the whole world is their family. Or they're somewhat eccentric and cannot maintain a normal relationship. So for the great majority of devotees, this marriage is an extremely valuable ashram and an important step forward in spiritual life, not backward. My wife and I, Jita Mitra, who's my god sister also, we're both disciples of Srila Prabhupada. We have been married since 1982, which means now 37 years. And we have 3 children, 2 grandchildren, and we've been through the whole episode. When we got married, we had no training, no preparation, no foundation really for family life. And as a result, there was a lot of stress and struggle in the early years of our marriage. A lot of moving, a lot of changing of plans. So now, in retrospect, we always encourage young men and women to consider these 2 factors when getting married. First, are they spiritually fixed up? Do they have an established, regular standard of sadhana, which they share in terms of its commitment and intensity? And the second thing is, are they economically ready to live independently? Many, many marriages are stressed because the 2 young lovebirds figure, oh, we have each other, we'll figure it all out later on. So this is a recipe for disaster, because when the bloom is off the rose and materially things are not stable, then it's difficult to maintain that relationship. So especially the men need to be economically prepared, which means if they have been brahmacharis, there has to be a transition period where they go from being financial dependents to financially independent. So the leaders of the temples and ashrams who are more enlightened and realistic are sensitive to this need and take the time to give the young man space to develop an economic base. It's not sufficient to say, well, I'm going to teach Madanga, or in most cases to say, I'm going to sell books and support a family. Very few people can actually do that. So there needs to be some kind of trade, some kind of business, or some kind of job. Now, in terms of job, if people have professional training, the jobs can be a good means to support a family. If they lack professional training, then jobs can be difficult to sustain a family in a low-paying job. So ideally, the man will be able to take some time to get some sort of either more advanced vocational skill or to have some sort of business. And business is a wonderful alternative for devotee men because it gives freedom to go to India, to have one's own schedule. If there's any indication that you have a propensity to be a Vaishya, to be an entrepreneur, by all means pursue that, because that allows you a lot more freedom in the long run. An entrepreneur is a person who will work 16 hours a day for themselves so they don't have to work 8 hours a day for somebody else. If you can make a living through your own enterprise, that's the most ideal for devotees, for most devotees, because it allows that Brahminical spirit of independence to continue even in the Grihastha ashram. But if it's more practical to have a job, that's also fine. There's nothing wrong with that. The point is, whatever it is you're going to do to maintain a family, gentlemen, you need to figure that out before the yajna. Okay? And ladies, if you marry somebody who hasn't figured that out, you get what you deserve.